This one is America's Missing Nukes by LazerPig. I don't believe I've seen anything from this person before. But I think this is a recommend from you guys. So let's check it out and see. Could be interesting.
Ah, the United States. Everyone loves America. I mean, can you just imagine if Germany won the war?
Okay, not gonna lie. This would be based. Getting beer with your McDonald's? That'd be based. Anyone else? Come on, admit it. You like to get yourself a beer with some greasy fast food.
Ugh. Now, there are lots of things that when you look at it really highlight the true spirit of America. Like apple pie, freshly baked by your grandmother. A horse running across an open field. Gay cowboy sex. Political leaders that cannot form coherent sentences.
Billions of gallons of gasoline. I mean, billions of I think it's 2.3 billion.
God. Oh, God. They pick on Joe Biden so bad for this. But it's not exactly undeserved either.
But you know, so
tell people why I say. I mean, I think
it's only once. She might me. Fool me, can't fool me again. Well, I mean, Tysell, he's not a mental midget. He's up there in years. He is up there in years. The mind can only hold on for so long. Cause like, you know, if you'd seen the way he talked, like even 10 or 15 years ago, it's a totally different story. The man's in his fucking 80s, for God's sake. Well, I'm not going to get into that. I'm not even going to get into that. I'm just talking about his ability to form coherent sentences. That's all.
Bing, 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 bong, bong, bing, 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 bong. Fight people. And of course, nuclear firearms. It doesn't matter what age you are, everybody loves nukes. Everybody loves nukes. That raw, sheer explosion of total obliterating destruction, which has threatened to end all life on the planet multiple times, and may well do just that. America has over 30,000 nuclear warheads it will publicly admit to having, and their existence helps us each and every day in securing our future and the guarantee that they will never be a World War IV.
Say what now? Guys? Is there something you want to tell me? Did I miss a world war or something? Yeah, hold up.
But can you imagine if some random got their hands on a nuke?
I know, Shadow.
Someone like North Korea, a terrorist, an angry Karen, or one of those liberals I keep hearing about.
Oh God, keep the nukes away from the Karens. For the love of God, keep the nukes away from the Karens. We're fucked if that happens.
The devastation even just one of these things could bring could wipe out an entire city, even a small country, and the resulting fallout could lead to mass evacuations, panic, starvation, looting, Fallout roleplayers hiding out at abandoned Walmarts. So we're all very thankful that nukes are hard to make, difficult to manufacture, almost impossible to hide, and all the best ones are very tightly secured in underground facilities in the America. I mean, it's not like they've ever, you know, lost one that, no one's ever found. Right?
The music.
Yeah, for once that wasn't a joke. A broken arrow incident refers to the accidental loss of a nuclear firearm, including, and I'm not making this up, accidental detonation on friendly soil. And you may be wondering, shut the fuck up, LazerPig. There hasn't been a nuke that's accidentally gone off on US soil, right? Oh, honey. So you know the Colorado River, right? Nah, I'm just fucking with you. But in all seriousness, to this date, there has been 32 broken arrow incidents, several resulting in explosions, but none, thankfully, resulting in
nuclear mishap. B-52 transporting hell and Harold Sunji, thank you for the follow. B-52 transporting 2 nuclear bombs crashed January 1961. Widespread disaster averted. 3 crewmen died. 3. That's the one that you guys were telling me about. That the nuke that fell that I forget what you guys called it. That's the one that you were guys telling me about when we were watching a Fat Electrician video. Okay. Yeah.
nuclear detonation. But out of those 32, there are 9 incidents where a nuke has just vanished, and no one's been able to find it. Does someone else have it? Maybe some shadowy Bond villain character? Or is it still just out
for
there,
God's sake,
just waiting to be found? I'm just fucking with you. It's a lot more than 9. Public records only go up to 1970. The rest are very much still classified. So what happened after 1970? How many more nukes are missing?
Yeah, boy.
You think I know? You think I know top secret government information? Because I do. And it's your mum's a hoe. Anyway, on with the list. In 1950,
He's not just a laser pig, he sounds like a drunken pig, too. The best kind of pig. The best kind of pig.
B-36 suffers an engine failure. In order to maintain altitude and give time for the crew to bail out, the bomber's payload, a 1 Mark IV nuclear bomb, which was being carried as part of a simulated nuclear attack, is dropped. The bomb landed in the Pacific, and though it was not holding its nuclear core, which is required for detonation, it was carrying all the uranium it needed. The crew believed the bomb had detonated its regular high-impact explosive on contact, which should have destroyed the bomb. However, this was never actually confirmed. The wreckage of the plane was only discovered 4 years later, and the bomb, or any residual trace of all the uranium it should have been scattered over a wide area, has never been found.
Yeah, they do look really weird,
In
Alex.
1956, a B-47, one of the most beautiful planes that has ever been made.
He's right. That is a very pretty plane. That is a really pretty plane, I must admit.
Fight Me, leaves Florida transporting 2 nuclear cores. It fails to make contact with the refueling tanker and is never seen again. An extensive search throws up absolutely nothing. It just vanishes.
What now?
Mysteriously. Ooh. In 1957, a C-124 transporting 3 nukes with a single uninstalled core loses 2 engines. To maintain flight, 2 of the nukes were dropped. There was no detonation, and the conventional explosives inside did not detonate. The plane landed safely, but the 2 nukes it dropped were never found. And for security reasons, it was never declassified where the plane dropped them. In 1958, an F-86 Sabre and a B-47 carrying a nuke collide in midair. The pilot of the Sabre ejects, and the B-47 attempts to land, but cannot slow down due to the damage. The pilot makes the decision to eject, but before he can do that, he needs to dump his bomb, which he does, several miles from the mouth of the Savannah River between South Carolina and Georgia.
Oh, lovely.
The bomb's onboard explosives failed to detonate. The plane landed safely shortly after, but the bomb was never found. In 1959,
holy shit! This is like a lot of bombs that are not found that have uranium in them. Like, yes, the core is not there, so we're not going to get a nuclear explosion, but that uranium could be cultivated and used in an unclean explosive. Like, what the actual fuck? I think we're up to what? What is that, like 3 bombs now? That were never recovered? Like, holy shit.
a P-5M Marlin crashes into the Pacific Ocean. It carries with it a singular nuclear depth charge. The wreckage was never found, and the charge never recovered. In 1961, an early B-52
No, Jameson, some redneck is melting on a massive pile of uranium. Not sitting, melting.
Catches fire and explodes over North Carolina. On board are two
Wait,
nukes.
hang on.
Catches fire and explodes over North Carolina. On board are two nukes, which, due to the damage, activate. The now two active nuclear bombs hurtle towards the ground, however the parachute on one deploys, preventing detonation. However, the chute on the second bomb does not deploy. But by a sheer miracle, the final arming pin on the second nuke fails, and the bomb plunges into a muddy field and partially disintegrates, failing to detonate. Most of the bomb is later recovered, however.
So that's the one that we've heard about. That's the one that we heard about with the bomber that lost the two nukes and they were on the verge of detonating, but by just sheer unadulterated luck, did not. Like, it is only sheer luck that that part of the country did not become a nuclear wasteland.
The actual live warhead was not, and is still down there. The Air Force purchased the land, and it's now sealed off behind this very highly secure wire fence. In 1965, an A-4 Phantom carrying a B-43 nuclear bomb suffers a brake failure and rolls off the elevator of the aircraft carrier it was on board, plunging into the Pacific. The aircraft, the pilot, and the bomb were never found. In 1968, while undergoing sea trials, the American submarine USS Scorpion suffers an electrical failure, which causes the submarine to dive below its crash depth. The submarine implodes, killing most of the skeleton crew on board. The wreckage was found sometime later, and the largely intact torpedo room was simply sealed off, with all the nukes still inside. There were around 5 to 8 nuclear warheads on board the Scorpion, and they are still down there. So for those of you playing along at home, that...
No, I think he said all of this. I think he said all of the skeleton crew. Because apparently, I guess the sub was being manned by skeleton crew. I don't think he said. Did he say most? I thought he said all.
Most of the skeleton crew on
board.
Most. The wreckage was found sometime later, and the largely intact torpedo room was simply sealed off.
I don't know how those escaped. Those others escaped, for God's sake, if they went below crush depth.
Nuclear warheads on board the Scorpion, and they are still down there. So for those of you playing along at home, that is around 14
real lucky bastard,
nuclear warheads just out there, somewhere, that no one's been able to find yet. 14, at least, that America will admit to losing, and 14, at least, stamped with the American flag. I mean, no one else has lost one, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that could be a lock wire. When he says most of the skeleton crew, maybe there were some that were able to escape before it went below the surface, and the rest were not able to escape before it went underwater, and they just had no means of getting out as it sank to crush depth. That could possibly be it. Yeah. JB, for the most part, but that nuclear material that's gonna be around for like what, 150 years? It's got a half-life of 150 years, I think. So it could be around for a while.
In 1989, the Soviet Navy's submarine
And sadistic, that's a good point. Where you said that, if they may have been remained as listed, they may have remained listed as being unfound as sort of a diversionary tactic. A million years. Okay, I'm million years. Okay. Yeah, I mean, how many of them are still listed as missing publicly as being a diversionary tactic, but they were recovered, so maybe they can catch some foreign entity trying to go digging for them, maybe. That is always also a possibility, certainly.
Cosmolotulus? That word, anyway. Operating with an inexperienced skeleton crew, catches fire. The crew, unable to deal with the issue, blew the submarine's ballast tanks and quickly surfaced from the submarine's crash depth. The resulting pressure difference blew the top hatches off the sub, water poured into the vessel, and it sank almost immediately. The Soviets conducted a search for the vessel, which sank somewhere off the coast of Norway, and after a lot of pressure from the Norwegian government, were able to clean up the nuclear reactor. However, the sub's onboard nuclear missiles could not be moved without the risk of detonation, so they were just sealed in the wreckage, and, well, they're still down there.
And this is Russian nuclear weapons, which they don't use as refined nuclear material as, say, the US does. So they are far more dirty.
In the chaos and turmoil that followed the fall of the USSR, the traditionally bureaucratic nightmare that had been the Soviet government turned into a Cthulhian-esque monster. People stopped caring about whatever was happening as long as something was signed to say it did happen. There was a major crime wave, a rise of cartels, and corruption just sort of became a way of life for the average Russian. The typical joke being that you didn't pay your taxes, you just bribed the taxman to go away. And into that mess steps Russia's entire nuclear arsenal. Now, Russia had kept a lot of nukes in its member states, countries like Moldavia, Momovia, Blabarashkalavovia, I don't know, Eastern European countries where everyone eats beets and the only colours are brown and that one colour of blue. These countries all now had to return the nukes that Russia had dumped in them. The dismantling is done with international supervision, but there's no real inspection process. The idea that any of these nukes were returned fully intact was simply taken at face value.
Walsh, for the ones that we saw so far, I think, a lot of them, the trigger core was not present, so they have conventional explosives that will not result in a nuclear detonation. But the nuclear material is still present in them. And, Nin, thank you for the follow and welcome.
In particular was a certain item of interest. At the height of the Cold War, America began a program of miniaturized nuclear warheads that ended with the M388, or the Davy Crockett, a small personal nuclear bomb attached to a large recoilless rifle.
Yep. Actually, the first thing I thought of was not Fallout. The first thing I thought of was Starship Troopers. You see when they use like the mini nukes in Starship Troopers to close the bubbles? That's the first thing that popped into my head.
Yes, that actually existed. One of the programs involving the Davy Crockett was done without the launcher. Teams of paratroopers or special commandos, as soon as the alert was signalled, were to infiltrate enemy lines and plant a miniature nuclear warhead at various strategical sites. The commandos were given the special instruction that if compromised, they were to detonate the bomb immediately. Fun stuff. But did Russia have a similar program? Well, yes. Yes, they did. These would involve small nuclear warheads inside briefcases, which KGB agents were to supposedly smuggle into the US.
And this was the subject of a lot of Hollywood movies. Like this idea of a like a dirty bomb in a briefcase or a suitcase. How many fucking Hollywood movies have been made where that is the plot device? Like when Russia came out with this idea, the writers in Hollywood just went, like, they all had one big collective orgasm, like, I've just got a plot device for the next 30 years. Like, holy hell.
Over 250 of these devices supposedly exist, with 85 of them reported as missing. The Russians denied that such devices existed up until 1997, where a defector not only confirmed that the suitcase bombs were real, but that a large number of them were supposedly missing, though he never gave an exact figure. This prompted a congressional hearing in which Russia finally admitted that the bombs existed, but claimed that all were present and accounted for, and the so-called missing bombs were actually practice decoys used for training missions. And even so, each bomb carries a transponder, which would last for a few years on internal power and would send an alert to Russian high command if it was running low, detailing its exact global position. But this is from Russia, who, as we all know, never lies about anything ever.
Yeah, no
especially
shit.
Back in the 90s under Yeltsin. In 1994, the US began Project Sapphire, which aimed to secure any remaining nuclear material left in former Soviet states, which might end up on the black market, though this seems to have only stretched to fuel that was being used in nuclear submarines. In spite of all these efforts, a considerable amount of nuclear material is still largely unaccounted for. Incidents leading to arrest of people caught trying to sell nuclear material on the black market total about 3 per year. And it's largely terrorist groups that are trying to buy them. But in spite of many claims, nuclear bombs, that is complete nuclear bombs, rarely come up on the black market. Claims that nukes are easy to buy or regularly come up on the black market in Georgia are typically false. And officially, there has been no recognition of a stolen nuclear warhead. And what little information says otherwise comes from dubious conspiracy.
I mean, yeah, it makes perfect sense because terrorists and the like wouldn't probably want an actual nuclear bomb. They would just want the material, the nuclear material, so they can make a smaller, devastating, dirty boom. To, that can be used in public spaces and is a hell of a lot easier to smuggle around. So it doesn't surprise me that that there's not like fully intact devices that are on sale on the black market, or that anybody would even want to buy them. I mean, but the amount that you need to take from an X-ray machine would be ungodly. You'd probably have to steal from every X-ray machine in the Soviet Union to be able to make one device. Whereas like lost devices contain a hell of a lot more concentrated material that can be used in many different smaller devices.
Websites. Meet David Chase Taylor, who is currently seeking political asylum in Switzerland after getting caught up in the WikiLeaks debacle. Taylor released a free ebook shortly after the WikiLeaks went live, in which he proclaimed that in the month of February in 2011, terrorist group Al-Qaeda would launch a nuclear attack at a Super Bowl in Dallas, Texas. He did a large number of radio interviews and personally contacted numerous intelligence agencies to warn them, and then he fled to Switzerland seeking political asylum, now believing himself to be in danger. Taylor claims he is on the CIA's most wanted list, and only through his personal intervention was the 2011 terrorist attack foiled, as well was a similar one in 2017.
Oh, for God's sake. Okay, this man is not doing himself any favors to make himself credible. He is not doing any favors to make himself sound credible. The website is not making him seem credible. Yeah, I'm sorry. Anything that this guy's, he's trying to parlay WikiLeaks is what he's doing, and who knows why? Who knows why he's doing it? Maybe he's doing it to get girls. Maybe he's doing it to try and get fame and money. Maybe he's got some books to sell. God only knows, but definitely sounds fake as hell.
Taylor is not on the CIA's most wanted list. He recently moved to Germany, now claiming to be the Messiah, and has published a new book in which he claims the Roman Empire still exists and secretly controls everything. I mean, lack of jokes in this video. I mean, the comedy just kind of writes itself, you know? And yes, you better bet your ass I want a copy of this book. It sounds fantastic. I want to hear about the secret Illuminati Roman Empire. So is there anything to really worry about? Well, Al-Qaeda and ISIS have tried for years to obtain nuclear warheads, and allegedly even attempted to buy some from Pakistan, but never really got anywhere. So why worry? If some of the largest and most powerful and most well-funded terrorist organizations in the world could not obtain a single nuke, what's the chances anyone else could?
I mean, dumb luck is a thing. 100% dumb luck is a thing. And if some sap stumbles upon it and knows just the right people to talk to, we could be in for a shitstorm. So, yes, that's why we should worry. Is for that exact reason.
On the 22nd of September 1979, an American Vela satellite, which was built to detect nuclear bomb detonations, detected a double flash incident in the southern Indian Ocean, which was later positively identified as a nuclear explosion. It was
Shadow, my guess is the casings that these bombs have around the nuclear material are probably shielded. They probably have lead shielding. And if those casings are intact, if they remained intact after the crash, you wouldn't necessarily be able to detect the radioactivity because they're shielded. If they remained intact, that is my suspicion. That all nuclear bombs, all nuclear warheads have probably a pretty strong level of lead shielding to prevent the crew. Well, if someone gets their hands on them and they're no longer intact, that's a totally different story. Now we're into a totally different story. But the reason why some of these have been lost and never found, supposedly, that would be the reason where it's, people, the average person might go, well, they're nuclear. Why don't you just, fly around with Geiger counters, and if the Geiger counter spikes, go check them out. The Geiger counter may not necessarily pick it up because of that reason. Now, if someone got a hold of them and broke, and cracked the nuclear shielding, now we're in a whole different story. And again, who's to say that these have not been found and the public has just not been informed because they want to keep the myth that these are missing? Misinformation from a tactical standpoint can be extremely useful in, kind of giving an enemy a false target to go after that you can then observe them. So it's entirely possible that there may be they are deliberately not saying that some of these have been recovered. It could absolutely be intentional.
Atmospheric testing confirmed the presence of nuclear fallout, but it has never been 100% confirmed that a nuclear bomb was detonated in the area, and so far no country has come forth to claim responsibility. The whole incident remains largely classified, but it remains one of the only non-recorded nuclear explosions. But even if someone were to get their hands on nuclear material, it takes a lot to go from uranium to an actual functioning nuclear warhead. I mean, we're talking billions in enrichment, reactor design, testing, and all the infrastructure needed to go along with it. Someone couldn't just smack one together in their backyard.
The threat of a nuclear warhead is not the threat. A missing nuclear bomb, there's a missing nuclear device. It's never been about, someone could create a nuclear missile or a nuclear warhead. That has never been the concern. The concern is that the nuclear material could be harvested and used to create multiple dirty bombs. That has always been the concern, not that they're going to be creating a warhead. So this part is a bit disingenuous because I don't think there's ever been a concern about creating an actual nuclear warhead.
Could they? Why'd you ask me these questions? In the 1960s, two students who had just finished their PhDs in physics were recruited by the Pentagon for something called the Ninth Nation Project. And no, that's not Ninth Nation Project, it is actually Ninth Nation Project.
Somebody was reading some DC comics when they made this. I'm pretty sure Nth Metal was around in DC Comics in the 1960s. So I'm guessing someone was reading comics around this time. And being the Black One, thank you for the follow and welcome. No, I don't think it's Manhattan Project. Manhattan Project was World War II, I believe. If I'm remembering my history correctly. That was Manhattan Project. Okay, Wolf, thanks for coming by and have a good night. And Beholder, thank you for the follow also.
I don't make this shit up, okay? The project was funded to establish if or not some amateurs who had absolutely no expertise nor access to classified research or any details in the inner workings of a nuclear bomb could build one. It took them 2 years. So as we emerge into a world of rising global tensions, where terrorists now control countries and more rogue nations than ever now have access to nuclear firearms, Take solace in the words of Dr. Strangelove. Stop worrying and learn to love the bomb. Have a fantastic Spookoween, and remember to check your children's candy for nuclear ICBMs. Nighty night.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, you fucking with this wet-ass pussy. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet-ass pussy. Give me everything you got for this wet-ass pussy. Beat it up, Nate. Catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this pussy right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top. I wanna ride. Why did I choose this song? What is wrong with me?
Wendy's van. Was not expecting that. Was not expecting that. Holy cow. Yeah, Ryan, I'd say you're not wrong there. My goodness. That was a little bit insane, but hilarious.